Welcome back. The 3.5 patch notes have just been released along with the Fornax update release notes. We're going to go over them now and have a quick look through them. So we've got the Fornax update. Now this includes changes to the difficulty settings and new settings to make the game harder or easier, including the ability to spawn all crises consecutively. From what I understand, they're going to spawn one after the other with 1.5 times difficulty for each concurrent crisis, so that should be pretty difficult and interesting. New story content, discover new pre-scripted star systems with extra habitability planets or new opportunities to uncover technologies, new archaeological sites, and new anomaly. So some interesting new content there. Cultural workers and monuments. The cultural workers are back. A roleplay favourite, cultural workers have returned, now working at monuments and providing unity and ethics attraction. That's really good. So you can make your empire pretty similar pops if you want to, all the same ethics if you like, with a lot of cultural workers, plus additional bonuses based on your empire's ethics. New lithoids traits, requires lithoids and planetoids DLCs. Crystallization, which gives lithoid pops organic pop assembly, nice. And radiotrophic, which splits pop upkeep between minerals and energy. So instead of just the minerals cost for the lithoid pops, it'll be minerals and energy. Relic rebalance, many events, precursors and crisis relics have had their active and passive ethics changed in order to keep them more relevant throughout the entire game. And we'll go through some of them in a while. It's all in the patch notes. I've had a quick look through. AI and performance improvements, many improvements and bug fixes to AI logic, as well as improvements to caching and multi-threading to increase game performance. Well, we'd all like that for the late game, wouldn't we? UI improvements, megastructures now appear in the outliner, star bases indicate they can be upgraded and more, so a few nice little tweaks to the UI. Patch note 3.5 Toxoid Species Pack. So the new Toxoid Empire art, we've got the species portraits, city sets, ship set, Colossus ship. So it does include a Colossus ship, that's good. New origins, and it's interesting to see what type of effect that Colossus ship will have. So that Colossus ship should, I guess, make the world toxic? Turn the world toxic, something like that. Make it uninhabitable for any other species except the Toxoid species, perhaps. New origins, Knights of the Toxic God and Overturned. New ascension perks, Detox. New traits, Exotic Metabolism, Noxious, Inorganic Breath, Incubator. New civics, Scavengers, Toxic Baths, Relentless Industrialist. New achievements, Quest complete, find the true ending of the Order, Noble Quest. Toxic workplace, as a Toxoid, Galactic Custodian or Emperor, insult every other member of the galactic community. That's a good one. Could be worse, colonize a planet that started the game as a toxic world, then turn it into a tomb world. Okay, they're trying to be really funny with these ones. 3.5 Fornax update. So changes and additions. All crisis galaxy setting, if enabled, the 3 endgame crises will happen consecutively. Once one is defeated, the next can spawn, each 1.5 times as strong as the previous one. Wow, that'll be really good. Adding in, better play all the crises in one game and they progressively get stronger and stronger. Really good. Added the Ranger Lodge building for the environmental civic, granting you unity for each natural blocker left on the planet. New unique star system. 2 systems with unique archaeological sites, 3 systems where one can easily pick up some ship technology, 3 systems with extra habitable planets. So they've added some new unique systems to the galaxy, which is good. They haven't told us what they are specifically, so we'll have to find them out for ourselves. New archaeological sites, Laranesi Refuge, a forgotten civilization of hive minds waiting for someone to aid them. Well, that doesn't sound dangerous now, does it? Hive mind, waiting for a hive mind to aid them. Okay. Zebox, a shroud entity that is only willing to talk to a machine empire. Shroud entity, really? That sounds rather dangerous for the machine empires, I would say. New anomaly, singing planet. Not sure what that is. Re-implemented cultural workers. Cultural worker jobs now provided by monuments in addition to the Ministry of Culture with the following effects. Base output, upkeep, 10% governing ethics attraction, 4 unity output, 3 consumer good upkeep. So that's pretty good, 10% governing ethics attraction. Pretty powerful. In addition, cultural workers have variable outputs depending on your empire ethics. These modifiers are doubled for fanatical ethics. I won't go through all of them. You can see them for yourself on the screen now. There's depending on what type of empire you're playing, you get small little bonuses. As galactic memorialists replace normal monuments, Death Chroniclers have had a change as well. They are now considered cultural worker jobs, and as such inherit the same ethic-based modifiers given above, with the following based output and upkeep: 4 unity output, 2.5% stability, 3 consumer good upkeep. So that's pretty good as well. 2.5% stability, that's really useful. The G-Salt equivalents on monuments now give evaluator jobs, which provide unity and amenities. As expected, Chronicle drones are now in the evaluator category, and likewise producing unity, stability and amenity. So the machine empires don't miss out on that as well. You can now purchase the services of a salvage overseer from the salvage enclave. They will improve your scavenging efficiency from debris. Okay, so that's probably to help with the resource gathering and stuff, which is being implemented in this update as well from debris. New leader trait, mindful scientist. With this trait, take longer to excavate archaeological dig sites, but are more likely to encounter anomalies. Oh, that would be really nice for the early game if you can roll one of those scientists to get your anomalies cranking out early, so you can at least find the anomalies so that you can research them later, because you want to let your research go up a bit so then you get more benefit from those research anomalies. Consecrated planets now have a special visual effect based on the quality of the world. Fallen Empire Holy Worlds have the max intensity. Okay, so a bit of a graphical update there, that's nice. Relic Rebalance Pass. Jehovian Park. Passive, grants bombardment stance, plus 20 leader lifespan, increased likelihood of finding biology techs. Okay, they're the passive abilities. Active abilities, 50% increase to biology research. Wow, that is really good. I'm assuming that lasts for 10 years. Grants bombardment stance. So if you need to get down that biology tree, if you're going genetic ascension, that's pretty good. The last bar, active. The active decision takes 2 years to create a Gaia world. If the decision is activated on a Gaia world, all organic pops on the world get an empowered Gaia world habitability preference, granting them plus 5% resource output on Gaia worlds. Okay, that's nice to get a 5% resource output if it's already a Gaia world. The decision takes 2 years to create a Gaia world. Okay, new bowl will be hive mind if you are hive mind. Okay, so the hive minds, don't miss out. The Yut Cryocore, passive, plus 1 pop on new colony. Is that on every new colony? If you've got a lot of colonies, that's pretty good. It's a good way. If you've got 30 colonies, you just got 30 new pops. Plus 20% energy weapon fire rate. Okay, that's nice too. Plus 20%. So if you're going down, you'd want to go down the energy path if you have the Yut Cryocore. I was just thinking that plus 1 pop from every new colony. It'd be nice if you have an Echinopolis. Good way to fill out some pops pretty quick. Sonic Archive. Passive. Unlock an edict granting leader XP, longevity, and accident prevention for Zro upkeep. Plus 5 ruler max level. Minus 50% shroud cooldown. Better shroud odds. Okay, that's pretty nice. Active. The knowledge option now always leaves your ruler upper level instead of granting flat XP. Okay, so you grant 1 whole level there, that's good. CyberX Warforge. Passive. 5% increased alloy output. Alloys allows the building of the most powerful buildable army in the game. So that doesn't change too much, I don't think. Active. Spend 10,000 minerals and gain 5,000 alloys. Okay, so they've added the mineral component to get the free alloys. Spend 2,000 minerals and gain 1,000 alloys. Effect increases by 2,000 minerals and 1,000 alloys each time it's activated, up to a cap of 20,000 alloys. Yeah, okay, very nice. The Volton Reality Perforator active grants 1 of 4 random buffs lasting 1 to 5 years. Okay, so it's going to grant you a buff lasting one of those periods of time. Blade of the Huntress passive, plus 25% army morale, plus 2 planet sector range, 10% increased diplomatic weight. Omni Codex passive, gain 1 gene modification point. That's nice. If you are a robot empire, gain 25 opinion with all non-robotic empires. Active. Add 3 pops of a random species to a specified planet. If you are hive mind, they are hive minded. Okay. 3 random pops. Doesn't sound so good really compared to some of the others. Ether Drake Trophy, active. 10% more happiness on every planet. 10 stability on every planet. Okay, that's not bad. So Ether Drake, a bit of a bonus. The Surveyor, active. Can grant 3 to 5, and 1 to 3 rare resource deposits. Head of Zarquan. Now can spawn for the AI 25% of the time, so the player is not guaranteed to find it every game. Okay. Passive. 40% spiritualist ethics attraction. That's nice. 150 opinion with Holy Guardians. Holy worlds become colonizable. Yeah, okay. Active, gain a larger fleet after each activation up to the 5th activation. So that's a fleet of Fallen Empire ships. 75% spiritualist ethic attraction for 10 years. Nice. The Defragmenter. Passive, minus 10% job building and district upkeep. Well, I guess that'll save a lot of energy. Khan's Throne. Passive, owning Khan's Throne allows for selection of the satrapy subject type, which gives the Overlord additional naval capacity equal to 30% of the subjects. That's really good. So you'll be able to actually become the Khan yourself and create satrapies in all the empires you conquer. So that's going to be really good if you want to play a Khan Conquer the Galaxy type game. That's going to be very interesting. I have to try and play through that. That's going to be good. Extra Dimensional Warlock. Change passive from 15% plus 30% sublight speed. 20% plus weapons damage. Active, 100% more jump drive range, minus 50% jump cooldown reduction, plus 75% more accuracy and range on your quantum catapult. So there are some very nice buffs, Smile. I guess that should be, considering you defeated the extra dimensional invaders. Pethorian Blood Queen, passive, plus 30 society research, plus 50% society research, plus 5% Pethorian weapon fire rate, increased with every activation. That is very nice. Active, spawns a sizable fleet, some of which are the carrier variety. Okay, so you actually get some of their fleet. Very good. Isolated Contingency Core, passive, plus 100% pop assembly speed. Very nice. Allows the construction of 2 of each megastructure instead of 1. Okay, that's good. Double up on all your megas and 2 Dyson spheres. 16 new achievements added to Species Pack and Synthetic Dawn. Aquatics Holy Water. Drench of Fallen Empire's Holy World. So the 16 new achievements, I'm not going to read through all of them. You can read them for yourselves. UI changes. Mega structures are now listed in the outliner. That's nice. Starbase outliner will now indicate if a starbase can be upgraded. Made it possible to directly demolish upgraded ruined buildings. The tooltip and description for commercial packs will now give info on what the best location for a new branch office in the Empire if you're a megacorp and have sufficient intel. Added an icon to the situation progress element that more clearly shows if situation progress is halted. Added planetary designation icon to the species modification UI. Robot empires now include robot species in system view habitability calculation. So the UI, there's been a lot of cool updates to the UI. You can read through these. Probably one of the good ones is mega structures are now listed in the outliner. Starbases will show as being able to be upgraded, and the whole other, which you can read through on the screen now. So improvements, rework terraforming candidates to be distributed at game start rather than through finding anomalies, as this allows for more predictable outcomes. Okay, that's really good. So we can get some more terraforming planets in your area of space. I really like that change. That's going to be good. The Caravaneers will now give you the privilege to spend energy to buy reliquaries directly at a nominally increasing fee, of course. Okay, so yeah, we can get more reliquaries, so hopefully we can get nicer rewards. Integrating a vassal now grants you any relics that they own. Yeah, that's good. Common sense prevails there. Added galaxy system view switching shortcut on mouse 4. Yeah, nice. Added pause unpause shortcut on mouse 5. Yeah, that's just really good. Makes it easier. That's what the accessibility upgrades they were talking about. Small portrait images in the UI now crops up to focus on the face of the character. Yeah, okay. Players who patronise the Artisan Enclave will no longer receive the event lackluster update. That's their first newsletter from the troop. Auto survey now explores fog of war, e.g. within empires with open borders when it cannot find systems to survey. Yeah, that's pretty good. So yeah, ships will actually go around and find all those systems that haven't been looked at yet, so they won't. So when you go to war with them, you'll still actually be able to send your fleets in there. Science ships on auto survey will now collaborate if they can't find separate systems to survey. The Salvager Enclave will now invite you to renew the Salvager Overdrive and Salvager Insights modifiers once they expire and become available again, assuming you remain in good standing with them. So just reducing a bit of micro there, having to go back and reactivate them. Consecrating Planets now has a special visual effect based on the quality of the world. Fallen Empire Holy Worlds have the max intensity. Yeah, we talked about that before. Added observer events which will notify spectating players whenever a starbase belonging to the Salvager or Shroudwalker Enclave has been destroyed. Balance. AIs now significantly less eager to become vassals. The acceptance penalty for vassalizing an AI overlord can now be overcome by other terms. Marketplace of Ideas now gives 0.25 unity, up from 0.125. Trade League trade conversions now give 0.2 consumer goods and unity instead of 0.25 consumer goods and 0.125 unity. So just a bit of a tweak there. Cap the maximum effects on sacrifice edicts and effective 15% of your empire population. Agarian Idol and Anglers are no longer mutually exclusive. Really? When combined, Anglers and Pearl Divers also provide from the bonus amenities that farmers would produce. Okay. Have to look at that one. That could be very interesting. Pop Assembly's priorities for picking which species to assemble have been re-examined. It will now favour species which match your planet's colony designation. Good, that's a good start. It will no longer attempt to balance growth on the planet between over and underrepresented species like pop growth does, and it will now be slightly biased toward your empire's founder species if you are doing organic assembly. Now that's really good. That can be quite annoying when they keep constantly changing the species on you. It's a nice quality of life improvement, I think. Synapse Hub now provides +1 unity per Synapse drone. Okay, so they're giving you a reason to keep those Synapse drones. Added ship size cost for debris resource to non-default ships. Leviathan changes. The automated Dreadnought now has increased armor, shield and hull values. The automated Dreadnought has been upgraded to use dark matter components and inspiring presence Titan aura and Perdition beam. So it looks like they're upgrading all the Leviathans here to make them harder. The Teryanki Matriarch now has 4 times hull armor regen. The Spectral Wraith now has 80,000 hit points. The Spectral Wraith is now neutral to most galactic fauna and enclaves. No more killer artisan troop. Okay. The Void Spawn has swapped out 3 of its missile launchers for artillery. I guess that makes it a little bit easier, can penetrate shields better. Difficulty setting changes. New difficulty level. Civilian, easier than Cadet. So just making it a bit easier for introduction for newer people, because the game has really changed a lot over the years. A lot more in-depth now, a lot of things to learn, so that's probably a good change. Default difficulty setting is now Cadet instead of Ensign. Okay, so we're starting at the second easiest level. Added difficulty adjustment AI modifiers as a game setting. Empire-wide economic modifiers are now multiplied by difficulty bonus for AI empires. This makes late-game AI economies significantly stronger. For example, a technology which gives +20% mining will instead give +40% mining for AI empires on Grand Admiral. Very nice, so they're doubling the difficulty pretty much, which will be really good, because Grand Admiral, once you have a good grasp of the game, is just too easy. Added mid-game scaling difficulty option. AI bonuses from difficulty settings scale up over time, starting at 0 and reaching maximum at the mid-game start. This difficulty level scaling is really good because the end game is often too far away and a lot of people have scaled up too much. By the time the end game comes, the AIs can't compete, so making it mid-year Just gives you a bit of an easier start, but makes the AI a lot harder by the time you've been able to gear up your economy a bit, so give you a bit more challenge if you're playing on Grand Admiral. Deluging a holy world is no longer okay. So it's going to annoy the foreign empires by the sound of it. Increase the cap of how much unity you can gain from momentous event rewards. Nice. The random event fire is now available to archaeological sites other than sentinels, so long as they meet its criteria regarding food. There's now a 1 year cooldown on upgrading mercenary enclaves. The trader enclave, once again fondly of their regular customers, their opinion of you stands to increase each full year as long as you have the trade deal with them. The more product you buy each month, the more opinion is gained, maximum +3 opinion per year. So it looks like they fixed a bit of a glitch there. Rogue servitors now have the Sanctuary World designation, which buffs bio trophies instead of the Unification Center designation. Reworked the Divine Sovereign event to be consistent with the Galactic Sovereign event. It now provides the Divine Sovereign Civic granting +10 unity, +25% governing ethics attraction without taking up civic slot. Halved the cost of the migrating forest special projects. S875.1 Warform now has a reactor and sensors. Okay then. R44 class raider now has 2 afterburners. Well, that's interesting. Wasn't aware they didn't have 2 afterburners. Yo Jimbo class escort now uses an artillery combat computer. Cultural workers and evaluators now count as administrator jobs for multiplicative modifiers. The happiness penalty from the wasteland radiation modifier is now offset. Radiotrophic's trait. AI. Added a 10-year cooldown before AI can propose a diplomatic action which was previously timed out by the player. Thank you, God. No more being spammed by the AI constant diplomatic proposals all the time just because you rejected one. AI will no longer leave federations because it does not like the subject empire within the federation. AI is now more liberal at spending their stockpile food on clone vats if they have them researched. AI will now try to assign otherwise idle fleets to the nearest fleet group as auxiliaries during war, which will make them follow other fleets with current military objectives, effectively reducing the amount of AI fleets idling during wars. That's good to make AI a bit harder to beat. So the AI will no longer create mercenary enclaves if it's set to attack neutral, and therefore immediately try to destroy the Merc enclave. Well, that would be helpful. This would happen with metalheads and become the crisis countries. The AI will also no longer make Merc enclaves during wars as it needs the fleets for fighting. It could be useful. AI will now actively attempt to increase its fleet capacity via building such as strongholds when they have researched the repeatable technology in the endgame. That would also be good. AI will now downgrade Bastion type starbases which are no longer close enough to a valid threat in order to free up their starbase capacity. It's good. AI will now have higher acceptance to status quo if they are in an unreachable war for extended periods, fixing issues when AI empires need to wait for war exhaustion to reach 100%. So yeah, it's just when AIs are on different sides of the galaxy and they're at war with each other, they'll be able to get out of it a lot quicker than what they do presently. AI is now much more likely to use the indentured servitude slavery type. Clone Origin and Necroid empires will now be more diligent about constructing their ancient clone vats and chamber of elevation buildings, so they won't spam them as much. Fixed an issue where the AI would sometimes build hollow theatres even when they had open entertainer jobs. Fixed here be dragons, AI not breeding baby dragons, so more dragons in the galaxy. Fixes an issue where AI would rather downgrade an existing starbase than cancelling the construction of a new one when over the starbase cap. Hypermind AI will no longer build solar panels on their Anchorage starbases. That's good, so they can increase their fleet capacity and have more fleets to fight. Improved AI's budgeting and rationale for building orbital ring modules and buildings, so it will now build the most useful ones more consistently. Improvements to AI logic for building megastructures. It will no longer cease building any other megastructures because it's currently making a hyper relay, and it will now build habitats and hyper relays even if it's capped by the megastructure limits. That's good because they used to just stop. If they're building one megastructure, they wouldn't build the hyper relays or habitats because in its logic it was building one megastructure already because it counts those others as megastructures. So that's good they fixed that. Made the AI more likely to build defensive platforms if it's near but not at the naval cap. Made the AI more likely to try and upgrade orbital rings and less likely to attempt to downgrade them, which was meant to be impossible. So the AI broke the game. Necroid empires were now forced grow their subservient species on their planets. Necrophage empires will now correctly use their special necroid purge type on all species that are not their subspecies. Pacifists now have an increased desire to build bastion starbases, changed from militarist. Removed AI directive to delete all its upgraded buildings using a special resource if it fell into a deficit in that resource. Going bankrupt will downgrade all of those buildings anyway, and downgrading is less disruptive than deleting. Improved how crises take over systems with colonies in them. Good, so the crises should be more effective in taking over the colonies. So bug fixes fixed GDF and Imperial Armada fleets counting towards the Empire fleet size. Federations and GDFs can now have ship size caps the same way countries can. Fixed Stone Age primitives spawning post-atomic armies. Fixed some issues with anomaly randomization, which meant that certain anomalies were disproportionately likely or unlikely to spawn. So that's why we keep seeing the same ones over and over again, and these other ones seem to be rare and you never see them anymore. Fix occupied shipyards continuing to produce queued ships. Trenching a crisis world will now correctly credit you with its destruction. Fixed it sometimes not being possible to move the camera using WASD controls after loading a save. Sulfurious terraforming equipment will no longer fire on planets that aren't already colonized. Fixed it not being possible to disband singular defensive platforms. All Unity buildings are now listed in the Unity category. A random event offering minor artifacts during the message in a bottle archaeological site no longer appears outside the Ancient Relics DLC. The event text now correctly refers to the host star system. Fixed Cloud Snag Special Project being granted behind Scientist level. Stopped invasive exofungus anomaly from spawning on Econopolis and Relic worlds. Trader enclaves no longer quite so fast and loose with their caveat emptor when it comes to hiring out governors. Just old empires will now be asked to confirm their choice to buy, given that they have no inherent need for trade. Unity automation will now attempt to build organic sanctuary buildings and districts. Adjusted the set of random events which may occur during the archaeological phase of research cooperative joint operation. Participating empires will no longer be offered minor artifacts if they did not have the Ancient Relic story pack in play. Asians should no longer try to appear on a planet that is being colonized. Devouring Swarm or Terravore necrophages now start with a synaptic node building. Industrial districts no longer show the approximate output of jobs that they don't provide depending on planetary designation. Fixed an issue which could prevent progress past stage 2 of the Sentinel's arc site. The G-Salt consciousness ethic now states that POPs will not require consumer goods. Fixed an issue where releasing a vassal would delete all farming jobs in the process. You can no longer declare war on the subject of a Federation member, if that subject is not a Federation member. Positronic implants no longer shows that it unlocks automatic research. Fixed leaders dying while in the leader pool, sometimes remaining there as a blank leader aged -1, potentially forever. Fixed a bug where planet automation would construct healthcare or entertainer jobs even though there were free jobs types. Fixed an issue where non-citizen POPs could often have more power within POP factions than citizen POPs of an equivalent social strata. Fixed an issue with planet automation for hive minds when they would build extra maintenance drone jobs while they had to deprioritize maintenance drones. Fix several issues where planet automation would both sometimes refuse to build archaeological leisure district or build way too many. Fix some issues with job weights where workers with the very strong trait would register as being good at specialist jobs for weight purposes. Fix synthetic ascension resulting in potentially unlocalized body parts in events. Fix target uplink computers not applying to defense platforms. Okay, that's good. So you're going to get that extra combat range, firing range from on your defense platforms. Hopefully they've promised this a few times. Fix the scouring of the Tianki home system happening repeatedly. Fixed weighted random formula, often not returning a weighted random result correctly. This had various impacts. AI would be biased towards ascension perks early in the list while choosing which one to pick. Halve the default max distance of the spawn systems effect. This reduces the chance that systems spawned from events during the game will end up awkwardly long distance from where they spawned, e.g. poking halfway into the galactic core or well off the edge of the map. Okay, that's nice. Nivlax are now correctly blocked from reproducing only in driven simulator empires. Fixed an error in which the Never Forget Archaeological Site would spawn even if the player did not own the Ancient Relics story pack, despite offering rewards which require that DLC. Fixed democracy scripted trigger, fixed being able to build multiple megastructures in a single system, so only one in one system. Fixed some regular Unity buildings, converting into monuments. Hydroponic stations now correctly provides agri drones for G-Salt empires. Lore text for the Eldar Star Collective now refers to the correct star, i.e. Anthrax system. The Genius Kali Archaeological Site, part of the Research Cooperative Joint Operation, now offers research rewards. Yeah, you can no longer build hyper relays in systems that do not have any hyperlanes. Planet Automation would no longer construct amenity jobs during the same monthly update, as it changed priority of amenity jobs on the planet, solving several bugs where Planet Automation would construct too many amenity jobs. Species modification now applies to pops currently being assembled or grown to, i.e. you won't end up with one of the old species left on the planet anymore. The alerts for ships missing in action while reinforcing and council elections being imminent no longer fire negative alerts out. You can no longer nominate subjects, BTC empires, or those with pompous purists to the custodian. Remove the scripted check which was preventing archaeological sites from spawning randomly in the galaxy. As a result, 8 more arc sites may now appear across the galaxy. This is in addition to other such sites which were developed later on and were made explicitly available outside of the Ancient Relic story pack. Arc sites which are unique to that story pack, such as Moonbump, the Rubicanator, and Precursor sites, still require ownership of the DLC. Okay, so we should get 8 archaeological sites now should be appearing somewhere in the galaxy as they weren't previously. Fixed fleet power from GDF and Imperial Armada fleets being considered when determining the strongest empire in a federation. Fixed an issue in which enclaves might spawn within the borders of fallen empires if they in turn were spawned as part of the Sion origin. Okay, that's good. Fixed the layout of a Shroud Walker enclave solar system which was spawning crystalline asteroids in unusual orbits. Fixed cases where the orbital ring would not correctly set to a planet's new owner if taken in revolt. Also made the orbital ring of a planet rendered ownerless become a ruined ring. Fixed advisor audio not playing when enlightening a species. Fixed border graphics not being removed when the last system in an empire loses its owner without also being moved to a new owner. Fixed a case where the Baal relic could bug out and not give you what you paid for. It's no longer possible to apply a species template that has negative available trait points. Fixed buzzing audio when the ship designer was open in the galaxy view. That's nice. That's really nice actually, that really annoys me. Fixed it being possible to species mod aquatic onto species which lacked ocean world preferences. That's an exploit. Fixed xenophobic necrophages being unable to assemble robots. Fixed envoys being unaffected by synthetic ascension. Fixed incorrect announcer voice line being played when a defense platform was destroyed. Fixed issue where crisis fleets wouldn't correctly destroy already disabled starbases, causing them to idle forever. That's good. Fixed various localization, spelling and overlap issues. Fixed various crashes and out of syncs. Fixed missing time unit in lithoid trait description. Assorted minor grammar fixes and events relating to the Rubicanator. Fixed incorrect tooltip for the ambient object, abandoned observation outpost. Fixed missing tooltip title in Empire creation screen. Fixed sensor malfunction event tooltip not referring to the correct target. Starbase capacity tooltip no longer mentions pops. Overlord mortal initiate drones are no longer called Overlord biotrophies. Tooltips for corporate subjudication policies now explicitly say if they are oppressive, balanced or benevolent. Fixed frame colors for Wenkwart modifiers. XP is now appropriately capitalized in the agreements tooltip. Fixed a case of modifiers source names not showing up if the modifier came from a planet's designation triggered events. Fixed habitats initial names. Fixed megacorps impose ideology gain. Fixed tooltip display for clear blocker speed modifiers so that they will show the actual time the blocker will take to clear in interfaces. Fixed issue with showing up incorrectly for some text boxes as well as some text box overruns. Fixed missing explanation tooltip for when a building cannot be repaired. So quite an extensive list of bug fixes and a few quality of life enhancements in there. A few of them I really like. A lot of them are just things you probably don't notice most of the time. But good they fixed them, because sooner or later you do. A whole bunch of modding updates here. I won't go into them. All the modders out there I'm sure they're aware of them because the information was released early to the modders that wanted it to be done. So some performance improvements. Now these will be most liked. Parallelized batch modifier updates, large reduction of lag spike potential in the late game. Fixed the problem with multi-threading that meant that sometimes all threads would just wait a while for each other for up to 20 milliseconds. Cache colonies in systems so that the game can iterate through colonized planets instead of going through all the planets in the system and working out if they were colonized. Cached updating of starbases types which was previously calculated on the fly when needed. Slowing down outline of updates. Cached wars list instead of recalculating it repeatedly whenever a country had to see if it was in a certain or any war. Fixed a lag spike that could happen when the AI considered where to build megastructures. Improved performance of checking whether a country can use certain hyper relay or gateway. Improved performance of late game checking if a planet is a colony slightly. It does this a lot, so this speeds up, e.g. into updating non-eligibility. Multi-threaded working out trade value and resources for systems map icon displays on the galaxy map. Now AI finds the best potential office branch 4 times faster. Reduced the number of the systems used to calculate the distance to the target planet by using only border systems of the current empire. Optimize a few events frequently called via on-planet surveys, since planets can be surveyed and unsurveyed via the intel system. Parallelized calculations for how much a situation should progress on the monthly tick, i.e. reduce situation's potential impact on monthly ticks. Parallelized strike craft movement. Apparently strike craft were really slowing down the game from explanations further down. Reduced the performance cost of auto migration on the monthly tick by about half. Shifted country migration caching from serial to parallel. Shifted most spy networks daily updates from serial to threaded. Shifted ship jump drive experience calculations to parallel. Shifted some parts of planets handling of monthly pop growth to parallel to speed up the monthly tick a little bit. Speed up monthly tick a bit by multi-threading country opinion caching that is done then. Threaded daily checks of policies validity. So some good changes there in performance. The devs are saying that in their 3.4 games it led to a 30% increase in game speed, so we should see some performance increases in our games in 3.5, so it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out. Any performance increase in the late game will be much appreciated. So with all those changes, improvements, bug fixes, enhancements, before the changes to the relics, that's really good, because some of those relics were really underpowered, some were overpowered, so it's good they've made quite a few there which have nice buffs and bonuses. And with the Toxoid species pack, this is quite a big update. This is almost like a mini expansion really just by itself. That's what I think. There's quite a lot in this. So I hope you enjoy it. I hope you enjoy this stream. If you do, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll be doing lots of updates. So I'll be doing some playthroughs with some different builds once Toxoid is released. So I've got some interesting ideas about that. So hit that like button and I'll see you next time.